All right, all right. Happy Monday. Let me make sure my audio is working. I think I figured it out last week, but we gotta double check here. To make sure that we are good to go. Happy Okay, it says I'm live. Can I see it? Happy Monday. I think I figured it out. We're good. There's sound. Perfect. So, for those of you tuning in, every Monday, if you are subscribed to my Substack, if you are subscribed to my YouTube, every single Monday I host a masterclass that teaches you how to turn your experience to income. And if you've been on a couple, you might be like, Nikki, how come it's the same one? We're going to be rotating soon. But what happens is sometimes we go through a class one time and we don't pick up on everything, right? We're preoccupied with maybe like a preconceived idea, or we're preoccupied with some other thoughts. We miss different things. Think of it like watching a television show. When you watch something over and over again, it becomes to where you're like, oh, I didn't catch that. So like me, I'm a big Supernatural fan. I've seen the series literally 9 times. um Judge me, but I've seen it 9 times, and every time I catch something new. So repetition is important. With that being said, we are going to jump into the Experience to Income Masterclass. This is all about converting lived experience into paid digital products, whether or not you have a large following, whether or not you want to be an influencer, and you don't need to overshare your life. Okay, I like to think that I live a relatively private life, and I'm still able to sell digital products online. So, with that, oh, I almost knocked all of it over. With that, today you will learn what actually sells online. So, how to take your experience basically and turn it into a digital offer. So, how experience becomes a digital offer, how it actually sells online, and then why digital products fail. Some of you are like, I've tried this, I've done this, and I did not see the results that I wanted to see, right? So, we're going to get into some of the reasons that could be why. Before we jump all the way in, if you've never seen my face before, ooh, let me see if I can change. You can't see that bottom. 1 second. Can I move me? Hold on. I don't want to remove me from the stage. 1 second. I can't. I don't know how to. Oh, wait. Can I shrink me? Ooh. All right. Well, I can't shrink myself or move myself, I guess, on this little thing. That is fine. We're still going to. Oh, can I do this? Let's see. There we go. You can see it now. Okay. So, who am I? If you've never seen my face before, you might be like, who is Nikki? So, if you want to give me a title, I am a business and identity coach. I help women take their lived experience and turn them into sellable digital offers. We do this through strategy, we do this through spiritual growth. Yes, there is spiritual growth that happens here. Okay, some fun facts about me. I am a mom of 3 plus 1. So I have a bonus daughter, and then I have those 3 that I birthed myself. So I am a mother slash stepmother. I am born and raised in California, West Coaster for life. Okay. Gemini sun and moon with an Aries rising. For those of you that are into astrology, if you are into astrology, you know that Saturn has just moved into Aries, and yeah, the identity part of my chart is being activated. So it'll be a good 2 years. On my spare time, I love to write. I love to go to the beach. I do love weightlifting, and simultaneously, I love to eat. So that's why I have to weightlift. Okay. Back in 2019 is when I created my very first digital product. I created that with a newborn. So this little guy right here was a newborn. My oldest was brand new. He was just a couple months old, I think less than 2 months old, when I created my first digital product. From there, or before that, I have over 10 years of corporate sales experience. So retail sales, B2C sales, which is business to consumer, and then B2B sales, which is business to business. So I've sold a lot of different things. I can help you sell too. For certifications, I am certified spiritual life coach, storytelling coach, and an art therapy coach. If you are ever interested in art therapy, I will be bringing those back soon. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of just releasing and spiritual growth and things like that. It's really good. But I bring those types of practices, specifically the spiritual life coach and storytelling coach. I bring those practices into business, because business is also a spiritual journey. Okay. And aside from that, like I said, we get into strategy. I did study business and psychology in San Jose at San Jose City College. So, this is to show you the types of digital products that you can create. So these are some of the products that I have personally created and sold based on skills, based on experiences. Okay. And I'm going to go through these to give you, because as I go through these, I want you to start thinking about, oh, okay, I have a parallel skill to that, or I've been through some form of that experience, right? I want you to start thinking like that. So the very first product I ever created was this right here. It was the ultimate guide to selling your services. That's what I called it. I would rename it today, but listen, we're going to go with what I knew. Okay. So this was back in 2019. I had this little baby that you see pictured right there. I had that little baby, and I really didn't want to go back to corporate. I wanted to extend my maternity leave at least a year. And so because of that, I decided I was going to sell an ebook. I did not know what a digital product was. I had no clue. I knew what an ebook was, and that was it. Okay. And I had maybe heard of a masterclass. I didn't know what a masterclass was. I had heard of it, but I knew what an ebook was. I did not know an ebook was considered a digital product when I made this ebook. And so one night I was sitting around and I was like, I've got to figure out a way to make money, right? Like make additional money. So that I don't have to go back to work. I was in a good paying job, but I didn't want to take time away from my firstborn. So anyways, so I took all of my corporate sales skills and I put it in a start to finish ebook, from finding prospects all the way to gaining referrals after you close a deal, right? Step by step, in depth ebook with with line like workbooks, pages, and stuff like that. Okay. I packaged that. I sold it for $27 and I put it on Facebook. There was no TikTok. Instagram did not have like the virality reach that it does today. I don't even think going viral was a thing back then, or maybe it was, but not in the way it is today, right? And I packaged it and I put it on Facebook and it sold. So that was the very first product that I created and sold from skills. And it was the ultimate guide to selling your services. And I took my corporate skills. So if you're in here right now and you're thinking, I think I have some corporate skills that I could package. Yes, you can. So start to think about some of the things you've learned at work. So after that, didn't know what a digital product was, made an ebook. I've hired a business coach a couple months later. I think it was like 2 months later. And I learned what a niche is. So I learned how to actually target a specific audience, right? And so from that, I took that same book and I made it. And this is how you can make one product multiple things. I made it how to sell your fitness program and grow your business. So this was for personal trainers who had just launched a personal training business, but they didn't really know how to sell, right? They didn't know how to sell personal training. Once upon a time, I used to sell personal training at the gym. So I took that and I put it for that, and it sold and it did well. And so because it did well and there was feedback on it, and, people were like, this is really good. This has helped a lot. I've been able to get some clients. I then decided I was going to teach that ebook live. And as I tell you this again, I want you to think about like, okay, what are the different ways that I can teach something, right? So I took that ebook and I launched what was called Fitness Business Bootcamp. And it was my very first ever 6-week live course. And this was back in 2020. And so I launched it. It was 6 weeks and I coached live and taught them everything in that book, from prospecting, things like that, gave them homework. There was assignments to be done. And that was the first ever live course I did. It was a workshop. Now, the one thing I learned from that I'm going to share with you is, if you're going to do that, make sure you record all of it, because I don't think I recorded all of it, because that's something I could have packaged and sold as a standalone afterwards. During this time, I was figuring out email marketing. So as I'm selling these two products here, I'm figuring out email marketing. I'm figuring out writing. I'm understanding funnels and different things like that. I'm learning. And so I pivoted from fitness coaches. I pivoted back to service providers, but specifically those who wanted to do good with emails, because I had figured out a couple really good things on emails. I had an open rate of up to 60%, replies, purchases, things like that. So I signed on clients. I decided to take on clients to see what people needed. I had done for you clients and done with you clients. So there were people whose emails I wrote for them, and then there were people who I worked with to do emails with. From all of that feedback, I turned everything that I knew into a course, Soul-Led Storytelling for $1 Million Emails. During the same time frame, I was also going through a spiritual journey. And so I was able to integrate what I had learned about meditation into what I had learned about email marketing. So as you're going through the process of launching your first product, I'm telling you this because it doesn't have to be the end all be all. You launch your digital offer, and as you continue to learn things, another digital offer will also come and want to be launched, or will come and you will want to launch it, or you will pivot and do clients, right? You're not married to the first product. The idea is just to get the first product started so you can start to get some feedback and you can start to see the mental shift of, hey, I can create something and get paid for it. From there, because through the spiritual journey, I got really into journaling. I've always been into journaling, but I got into it more. So I made this in this bottom corner. It's 90 days mindfulness journey. Oh my goodness, mindfulness journal. Then I went into and had my second baby. So then I went into postpartum, and postpartum was a challenge the second time around. It was not as easy as the first time, and it was not as easy as the third time. And in this moment, I just remember feeling like, I just need a minute. I just need a minute to breathe. I just need a minute to myself. Okay. And through that experience, I developed what I call the mindful minute method, because I was like, I just need a minute to myself. And then I was like, you have a minute. You can always go find a minute. And so I developed what was called the mindful minute method. And I put that into this ebook, and it was called Mom's Journey to Mindfulness, Embracing Calm in the Chaos. And this was about how to take the time that you have, however little it is, and be intentional with it so that you can make it enough to show up powerfully as a mom. And it was specifically for moms who maybe didn't grow up with that type of teaching. So I created that. And then from there, I took a break. I took a long old business break. As I was on my business break, I was still on my spiritual growth journey, and I developed a style of writing called intuitive writing. This is how I started to get in touch with my higher self. This is how I started to really deep dive into spirituality and things like that. And I took everything that I had learned about intuitive writing and everything that I had developed myself, and I came back and I launched Intuitive Writing Mastery, which is a mini course, aka like a toolkit for people who wanted to go on a spiritual growth journey. From there, I pivoted into where I am at today and probably where I'm staying. And this was business. How to write an ebook and teach what you know. That was my business comeback, right? How to write an ebook and teach what you know. And so I sold copies of that. People started to write ebooks. So at the same time, I'm selling both of these. Then I went into Digitalize Your Expertise. Digitalize Your Expertise is the current signature course that I have. This is all about how to take your skills and experiences and turn it into a sellable digital product. It teaches you the tech and all of that. At the very end of this class, I'm about to get into teaching you. At the very end of this class, there will be an offer for that, as well as an offer for how to work with me. And that's just me being transparent, because put a 1 in the chat if you don't like being in a class and you're like, wait a second, I didn't know I was going to get an offer at the end. Sometimes it can feel gross. So anyways, I'm just giving you full transparency. So let's get into it. First of all, some of you might be like, why are you teaching this? What are you doing? Why are you teaching this? First of all, I know what it's like to be frustrated and confused. Okay. The products that I showed you are the products that made sales. I have had countless products that did not sell. I know what it's like to create something and get no return on it. Okay. I know what it's like to have skills and not trust yourself with them. I was the queen of saying, well, I'm good at selling for work. I'm good at selling for corporate, but I'm just not the best at it for the internet, right? That's a lack of self. That's a lack of trust in the skills that I have. That's a lack of trust in being able to transition them. I know what that feels like. I'm going to pull that out of you today. Okay. I know what it's like to create something that doesn't sell. I just said that. The last page was all about what sold. There were countless things that did not sell. And then, of course, I know what it's like to work late nights and not even see like a reward in sight. Like if you have ever been in a position where you feel like you are just working and working and not seeing the reward, I want you to drop me a 1 in the chat, because I have absolutely been there. And so because of that, I want to help you. And that's why I run this class every single Monday, so people can come in and turn your experience into a sellable offer. So hopefully you have a notebook if you're in here. I hope you have a notebook and you are ready to learn. You're ready to pull out some experiences. Before we do that, I must get into the identity and the embodiment because business is about 80% mindset. A lot of what you do is going to be on the mindset. So I want to go ahead and attack some of the common fears before we get into the skills piece. So one of the biggest things that I hear people tell me is, well, I'm not ready. I'm not really ready how to do this. Okay. The way that I teach it, I want you to reframe this to I know how to speak to my transformation, and that is enough. This is why we start with a lived experience, because if you can talk about something that you've been through or a skill that you have, you can absolutely teach it. You can absolutely lead others through it. Okay. Another one that I hear a lot is it's all been done. Everything has been done before, right? It's all been done. Somebody's already doing it. I'll get into a little bit why that's a good thing, but I'm going to pivot into this. I want you to pivot it to this. Your story and your voice is what makes it unique. Okay. I want you, next time you go to the grocery store, go look at the bread aisle. Go look at all of the bread. Okay. You've got white bread, wheat bread, oat bread, gluten free bread, right? All different kinds of bread. And even down to the types of breads having different brands. Some people are going to have a specific brand of wheat bread that they want, while others are going to have a different brand of wheat bread that they want. I personally like Alfaro's. Don't be putting those oats and stuff in my bread. I don't like that. Okay. Other people, like my grandma, she loves the oaty bread. Not my thing. So somebody's still going to need you because your story and your voice is what makes it unique. Another one that I hear often is, well, sales feels icky. Like selling feels gross. I don't want to be chasing people. And I want you to take your experience, your transformation. I want you to think of it this way. When you talk about your transformation, selling becomes of service. Okay. And when it's sacred, it's sacred when it's aligned. So talking about your transformation in itself does the selling for you. And the last piece is I'm scared of what people will say. Put a 3 in the chat, put a yes in the chat, put something in the chat if you have ever heard that. Like, I'm scared of what people will say. And what I want to tell you is the right people will be thrilled that you have this offer. When I launched Intuitive Writing Mastery from 2 slides ago, I was very nervous to launch that. I was like, these people are going to think I've gone off my rocker with all this like spiritual talk and meditations and stuff like that. And the day that I launched it, I sold 2 to a very small audience. The day that I launched it, I sold 2, and I had other people saying, wow, I've been looking for something like this. So don't be afraid of what people will say because the right people are going to be super excited. Okay. Remember this. You learn the skills, you deserve to be compensated. Put that on a sticky note somewhere in your room. Your people's transformations are going to be waiting on you. They're waiting for you to speak up. For my astrology girlies, we got Saturn and Aries. It is time to go. Okay. You are an authority in your space and people respect your work. Your story serves a purpose. My story serves a purpose to others. You didn't go through things just to sit and wallow in it. Okay. Turn it around. Use it as a purpose. Not sharing my gifts is a disservice to others. People are waiting on your activation to be able to move. Okay. People are waiting for you to talk about your journey so that they can see light at the end of their own. So, as we get into this, if you have your notebook, I want you to write this down. I want you to think for a moment. If you could be known for anything, what would it be? Sit with that for a second. You're not married to whatever you write down. You can get a divorce, okay? But if you could be known for anything, what would it be? Some of you are going to be like, I know exactly what I want to do. I know exactly who I want to be known for, and you're going to write that down. Some of you might not know yet. Just sit with that, okay? Sit with that for a moment. Let's see. I'm is it Kiyaka? Kia, is that right? Thank you for this. You're so welcome. I hope I said your name right. Oh my goodness. I feel so bad. Okay. So as we pivot into actually structuring your offer and figuring out what experiences you can pull from, I want you to remember this. The future is not going to be job security. Okay. It's going to be self-ownership. So taking your skills, your story, your energy, and your experiences, that's going to be the currency. That is how we're trading these days. Okay. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to package them to be able to turn them into income. So when thinking about your experiences, we want to clarify some things, right? So, first things first, what skills have you learned? And as you think about what skills you have learned, I want you to think about don't limit yourself to just like, skills you had to learn on your own. Do you have corporate experience? A lot of us have corporate experience. Do you have experience in corporate that you learned certain skills from? So, like I said, my very first ebook came from my corporate sales skills. I just took what I knew and packaged the sales process into an ebook, right? Do you have skills in like baking? Do you have photography skills? Are you able to make make dark images appear brighter, right? Do you have negotiation skills? Do you have paralegal skills, law skills, right? So start to think about the skills that you have learned, okay? Skills that you have. And in your notebook just start jotting down some ideas, right? Just kind of brain dump, these are some of the skills that I have. The second way to clarify an experience is, what do people come to you for advice on? This one is actually golden, because if people are coming to you for advice on this, that already signals a demand. So, what do people come to you for advice on? Do people come to you for budgeting advice? Do people come to you for relationship advice? Do people come to you and say, how can I organize my closet? My children's clothes are everywhere. I'm sick of this, right? Like, what do they come to you for advice on? Is it spiritual advice? Is it, anything, right? Think about that. If you have something that comes in mind that people come to you for advice on, excuse me, jot that down into your notebook, okay? What major experience or experiences did you have to go through that shaped who you are today? So, for example, the two major experiences that I went on that I turned into digital offers was postpartum, and a challenging one at that. Postpartum and the spiritual awakening process, right? So those are experiences that I went through that shaped where I'm at today. So maybe some of you went through divorce. Maybe some of you went through moving with children, moving abroad or internationally with children, right? Maybe some of you went through becoming a single mom and having to rebuild from the ground up, right? What experiences have you, or I'm sorry, Jesus, what experience did you go through that shaped you today? And I'm going to give a disclaimer with this one. If you're going to do the experiences route, I want you to be sure that it's something that you're comfortable talking about, right? Because the whole point of the way that I teach things is, I don't want you to have to share your whole life story if you're not ready to, right? I want you to be able to share the experiences that you feel comfortable sharing, that you feel ready to share, because that's going to make your offer a lot more sellable, because you're going to have a confidence to you when talking about it. Okay. So if you're like, I went through this experience and I could help people, but I don't want to talk about it yet, just hold off on it for now. It may serve a purpose later. And then the last one to write down, what do you consider yourself an expert on? Brag on yourself for a moment. What do you think you're the expert on? Do you think you're an expert on budgeting? Are you an expert on finding the best flight deals? Are you, like, I'm an expert. I can turn anything into a business model. You come to me and be like, I'm good at this, this, and this. And I'm like, okay, here's how we're going to package it. Here's how we're going to monetize it, right? Like, that is what I consider myself an expert on. I'm good at the creative strategy piece. So brag on yourself. What do you consider yourself an expert on? And write some of those things down. And while you write, I'm actually going to take a sip of water, and then we'll move to the next slide. I need back away from the mic, because I don't know about y'all, but when I hear people drinking water through a microphone, those gulps are so loud. All right. Getting into the expertise through the three most profitable niches. Now, I'm going to explain this a little bit differently, because I always hated how it was explained to me. And this was always the portion of business that I was like, ugh, this is annoying. But I'm going to explain it to you. So there's the three most profitable niches are going to be health, wealth, and relationships. What that means is there is always going to be a demand in these three categories, because people are going to always want to pay to feel better. So starting with health is going to be anything that obviously makes you feel good, right? So wellness is considered health. Nutrition is considered health. Mental health, if you have certain if you're able to teach that and stuff, that would go there, right, into the health niche. Wealth can be a multitude of money things. A lot of people look at wealth and they think only how to make money, but that's not entirely true. Okay. If you're good at budgeting, that would fall under the wealth niche. If you have done, credit card repair or paying off credit card debts, in a certain amount of time, that goes into the wealth niche. Okay. If you help people, save money to buy a house, save money to take a vacation, right? That also goes into the wealth niche. So anything that has to do with finances, even if it's not actively bringing in more finances in the moment, is going to go into the wealth niche. And then the other top niche is going to be your relationships niche. So relationships, we always think of romantic relationships, right? Marriage, dating. I guess those are only two romantic relationships, huh? those types of relationships, right? But relationships are all relationships. So if you help somebody get in tune with themselves, go through like a self-discovery process, for example, that falls under the relationship niche because it's a relationship to self. If you help the parent-child relationship, that goes into the relationship niche. So for example, if we're taking my postpartum ebook, that would fall under the relationship niche because it's a relationship of the mother to the self or to herself, and then it's a relationship of the mother to the child, and then the mother to the family unit, right? So though that falls into the relationship niche. This can also be community. If you're helping people build a community within themselves, or I'm sorry, community with others, that would be considered like platonic relationships. So community building falls into relationships. I'm going to give a fourth niche as a disclaimer niche. A lot of people will ask me like, well, what about spirituality? Spirituality is absolutely a niche and it does turn profit, but I like to think of it as a sub niche or as a supporting niche. So spirituality for what? Right? So if you're like, I'm in the spiritual thing or whatever, that's totally fine. But then what does it do? When you think of astrologers, they help you either figure out how you're supposed to make money. So that's wealth. They figure out who you are and what you do in this lifetime. So that's relationship to self, right? They may be able to pinpoint certain things in a birth chart that would be a little bit detrimental to your health or things like that, right? So it's a sub niche for that. Same like tarot readers, same thing, right? It falls into they're either helping you with self or they're helping you figure out money. So if you do spirituality, think about the for what aspect of it. What is the spirituality for? And when you think about it like that, these three niches become a lot less overwhelming to understand. And like I said, the beauty of this is there's already demand here. So you're just paving your way into one of these spaces. So when getting into your product and what people receive out of it, you're going to want to define the transformation. Okay. So you're going to want to that's why I got this little butterfly down here. You're going to want to take them through their own metamorphosis journey. And so the first thing is, what is going to be there before and after? So as you think about your skills, you think about your experiences, think about where you were in the before process. How did you start, right? What was your starting point? And afterwards, your after will then become thereafter. So what did you get to after? What are the tangible and emotional results of your transformation? So tangible, there's going to be things that can be seen on the outside, right? So when we think of a tangible thing, if we're looking at weight loss, right? The tangible result is, hey, I lost 30 pounds. People can see that. People can see the weight loss. They see the clothes fitting differently. They see, face slimming out, right? Different things like that. Waist more defined, like looking a little more snatched, all the things. Those are the tangible results. But then there's an emotional result that's not always seen, right? So for weight loss, the emotional result can be confidence. It can be that they, are able to show up more powerfully in rooms. It might be that they feel a lot better about themselves. They might confidently now be able to go out on a date. They might confidently be able to go to the beach and, swim in the water with their kids. Something like that, right? So that's more of an emotional tie to it. The confidence piece, the happiness piece, a sense of oh my gosh, I just lost the word. A sense of accomplishment. That's what I was trying to say. A sense of accomplishment after, the tangible result has come, after the transformation has come. So those are the two differences. The tangible is going to be what other people can see of them. And then the emotional is going to be like how they're feeling on the inside, right? And those are not always seen. This is the internal journey. And then the last piece is going to be what becomes possible for them after the transformation. So taking the weight loss example, somebody loses 30 pounds. That's cool. But then now what do they get to do? Is it they now have more energy to run around with their kiddos? They now feel confident to go swimming on family vacations. They're now confidently booking travel and going on trips. They're now back in the dating scene. Like, you know what happens to them afterwards? They're confidently able to book public speaking gigs because they don't mind how they look and they're not afraid to be on stage. Like, what becomes possible for them after? You're going to want to really paint that picture in your content of like, this is actually what you're really going to get out of it, right? Like, we have our tangible stuff, but then like there's the bigger possibility. So when you're defining the transformation, this is what the roadmap looks like. Let me take my little thing off because oops, I am blocking it. One second, y'all. Okay. So when you're defining the transformation, it's a simple 3 to 5 steps. We don't wanna overwhelm them. You just wanna get them to the first transformation, right? And there will always be more. This is life. That we're always gonna be growing and learning, right? But the first thing you wanna do is point 1 is gonna be the experience. So where are they in the experience? They're at the beginning, right? Think about where you were in your experience. Part 2 is the turning point. So where that's this is the part where they're like, "I can't take it anymore. Something has to change." And that pivots. You shift for them, right? You help them shift. And if you again taking your own experience, think about where you shifted. What was your turning point? So if we use the postpartum example, my experience was postpartum number 2 was challenging. I was depressed. I was angry. I was frustrated all the time. I was snapping at my family. And the turning point for me was I'm missing out on precious time that I can't get back. Okay. I'm missing out on family moments. I'm missing out on toddlerhood of the older one and the newborn phase of the baby. So the transformation for me in just finding this mindful minute method was being able to be present with my family, being able to be the calm mom that I always wanted to be, right? So think about for you the turning point and then the transformation. Now, if we take back to the postpartum thing, being the calm mom, that's just part one, right, of the transformation. Then there's new chapters and new things, but we just want to get that initial one going. So when you think about the transformation, think about the 3 to 5 steps that you have personally taken or you would guide someone else through to essentially move them from stuck to feeling empowered, feeling like they can do whatever it is they're meant to do, right? So in the example that I gave, being able to feel like they can actually show up for their family, like they are the mom that they always wanted to be, right? That they're not repeating family traumas. Oops, where's my mouse? So here are some examples of different transformations with a few different things besides postpartum and health. So let's say you're somebody who's really good at cleaning your house. And if you are, call me. Let's say you're someone who's really good at cleaning your house and always staying tidy and things like that. So you might be having, you might be in meeting a mother or, a parent or somebody who's thinking, I don't have time to clean my house. I have no time, right? That's the before, that's the experience that they're in. But then they meet you, and after they meet you, now they have a 20-minute daily cleaning system that helps her house stay tidy without overwhelm or while having 3 kids under 6, right? And so she's going from, I don't have time to clean my house. These kids are always making a mess. I don't know what I'm doing here to, hey, I have 20 minutes a day and I'll take 20 minutes a day to keep this house clean, right? That is a transformation that she has. A couple other ones. So the before, somebody's in credit card debt. They're in bad debt. They're like, I want to get out of credit card debt, but I don't want to stop having fun, right? I don't want my life to like I don't want to be living in the shadows or, be on recluse mode and saying no to everything. Maybe you were able to pay off debt without giving up everything enjoyable. So you would put a little time frame to it for them. You create after they work with you, they have an 18-month debt payoff plan without giving up everything enjoyable. So now their transformation is that they're able to get out of debt and they're still able to live their life to an extent, right? They're still able to live life without giving up everything. Another one, this is really prevalent for the 30 to 4-year-olds. If you're a career person, this one might be for you. So I hate my job, but I'm too old to change careers. That's the experience they're in. That's the belief that they have. Maybe you change careers and you're like, wait a second, we could do this. You're able to now change industries mid-career in 6 months without starting over financially. I have seen career coaches on the internet. I used to know one personally, actually. Career coaches, resume writers, things like that, that people that do help people get jobs. So if that's an experience that you have, people are always looking for something like that. The biggest thing with the after on the transformation that I will tell you is if you can give it a timeline, that's really good. And if you can reshape the belief that they have that they're going to have to give up something or that they're going to have to do something that they don't want to do, then it makes it more enticing. So, changing industries mid-career in 6 months without starting over financially, there's a time frame there, and then there's the enticement. I don't know if that's a word. There's the enticing aspect of, oh, okay, I don't have to start over financially, right? I can kind of do a lateral move here, but I get to be happier in my job. So, when naming your signature framework, if you can give this an acronym, that's amazing. If you can't, it's fine. Not every framework that I has an acronym. Experience to income is not an acronym, it's just a phrase. Okay? So, naming your signature framework. Step 1, what is the first thing that someone needs to know or feel? This is usually going to be a bit of a mindset thing, right? So, what is the first little mindset shift that you need to make in them? And if you're having a hard time answering that, think back to, what do you wish somebody would have told you at the beginning of your experience or at the beginning of learning the skill? Okay. Number 2, what do you guide them into or help them shift? So, when in the offer, the step 2 part, so where are you guiding them and what are they shifting by working with you? And then number 3, what is the result, embodiment, or outcome after the transformation? So if you can name those steps, give each step a name, that is your signature framework. When defining the transformation, you're going to want to sell them what they want, but give them what they need. So this is called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Excuse me. And basically, what it means is the physiological needs need to be met first before we can jump up into self esteem and self actualize and all of these other things. So, if you are thinking about your client experience, you want to meet them here. Maybe you know that what they need is a sense of self esteem and love and belonging, and you're going to get them there. But maybe in their head, they're thinking, I just need to be able to pay my rent. Or, I maybe the rent is covered and they're like, I don't even feel safe with myself, right? You want to speak to that first and then move them up the pyramid. So, when choosing your digital offer, here are a few offers that you can get started with. So, ebooks. Ebooks pricing is going to be anywhere from about $19 to $97. And I was going to put guides with ebooks. It should be ebooks and guides. My bad. So, ebooks or guides, $17 to $97. This is going to be in written format, right? So you are just writing the process, you're writing, the steps that they need to take in order to get from point A to point Z. Another type is going to be your workshops. So workshops are live classes that you can run weekly, you can run monthly, however you want to set it up. But these are live classes where it's you and a few people, a small group of people, and you are teaching them. You're guiding them, but it's on a schedule, right? So like I said, maybe you're doing a 6-week workshop. Like if I were to do like a 6-week experience to income workshop. And so then over the next 6 weeks, we're going to define your experience, extract the skills, set up your digital offer, figure out, the tech to sell it, and then get you out marketing and selling, right? That would be broken down into 6 weeks. So that's a workshop style. Depending on how long and how entailed they are and the deliverables that you have to go with it, depends on the price. So these can range anywhere from $47 to $297. Another type of digital offer is going to be a masterclass. This is a masterclass. So masterclasses are about an hour, 1 to 2 hours of teaching. And you get up and you teach on a topic, right? You can have slides, you can do a presentation. That is a masterclass. When doing a masterclass, you can sell it anywhere from $47 to $197. You can also use this as a lead magnet. You can do it for free and hope that it brings leads in, especially if you're like a coach or a consultant or something like that, and you want people to get a feel for how you are. This is where masterclasses are really good. Then you have your coaching containers. So coaching containers is where you are actively guiding somebody through something. These are going to be the highest ticketed items because they have direct access to you. So a coaching container is going to run 4 figures plus, right? Depending on how big you get, depends on how much you want to charge. If you look like Tony Robbins, I think it's $250,000 and you work with him for a month or something like that. That's at least a while ago it was a month. It might be less time now. But anyways, your coaching containers is when you are actively working with somebody. You can do this one-on-one, or you can do this in a group setting. The group setting would be like a hybrid group coaching. So you get on and you coach a small group of people. Then you have your toolkits. So toolkits are going to be swipe files, templates, different things like that. Think of it as a product that people keep coming back to. So if I wanted to do like an email marketing toolkit, right? Maybe I'll give some email templates. Maybe I'll get some some subject lines, some high open rate subject lines for them. Maybe I would do an email sales funnel template, right? All of that would sit inside of a toolkit, and then that can sell for $17 to $97 dependent on what's in there. And then the last type that I'll talk about is the course or the mini course. So a mini course is just like it sounds. It's a smaller version of a course. A mini course is something that can be completed typically in about 90 minutes, right? And it's broken down into bite-sized videos. Whereas a course is going to be a little bit more in depth. It's going to take a little bit longer. So a course, these can sell for $97 to $497 plus dollars, depending on how in depth they are. This is where you take your skill set, your experience, and you break it down into modules to teach. And each module teaches on a topic. So for example, inside of my course, Digitalize Your Expertise, the first module is going to be about identifying your experience or your sellable experience and your skill, right? Then we're going to have the next module is going to be all about choosing an offer. Then module 3 is going to be how to design your offer. Module 4 is, I think, going to be like how to set up the tech for your offer, right? And then we get into sales, then we get into marketing. So that is how a course is broken down. It's taking the steps that you walk them through and going more in depth inside of there. So when choosing your digital offer, think about a couple things. How long does the transformation take? Okay, how long does this transformation take? Is this something that can be completed quickly, like in a guide or in a masterclass? Or is it going to take more time? Should they be going through a course? Should they be working with you for an extended time? And I'm going to give you a hint on this one. You can have multiple ways to do this. So you can take a portion of the A to Z transformation and put that portion in an ebook. And then you can go more in depth into that and put it into a course, et cetera, okay? Think about this too. What capacity do I have to show up? Are you better at writing? Do you show up better on video? Okay. Do you have the capacity to get on video and record a bunch of modules, or would it be quicker for you to just write an ebook, right? So think about your capacity. A lot of us, when we're just getting started, we still have jobs to work. We still have children to raise. Like life still has its obligations. So in this current moment, just to get something to put out there to sell, what capacity do you have to show up? On top of that, how do you show up best? This is not to say you can't learn the other skill. Okay, I show up best in writing and then I do video secondary, but how do you show up best? Do you show up best through writing? Do you show up best through video? Do you show up best through audio? Private podcasts are a thing, right? Think about that. And then the last one is a rhetorical question because I just answered it. Is there more than one way to teach what you are teaching? Yes, there always is going to be more than one way to teach something. So one of the last pieces is, why do digital offers fail? The first thing is going to be no audience for it, which is essentially no market research. So if you have an experience, you have an offer you want to create, and you're like, I don't know if people want it. Go on social media, go on TikTok, go on Pinterest, go on Google, go on Facebook, go wherever you go and start typing in your experience. And from there, you can see if people are searching for it. Okay. I had a client who was doing anxious attachment one time, right? And when I searched anxious attachment into TikTok, the things that came up are workshop, workbook, along some other things, right? But people were specifically searching for a workshop or a workbook for this specific topic. So that told me, one, it's viable. Two, the type of product people want is already in the search bar. So you might be surprised at what you can find if you just go digging a little bit. Okay. Another reason digital offer sale is nobody knows about it. So if you talked about your offer one time and ran away, they have no idea it exists. Okay. Especially in today's day and age where everybody's attention span is so rapid. You need to continue. They've already forgotten. By the time they see your piece of content and swipe away, or see you talking about your offer and swipe away, it has been forgotten. They don't, like majority of the time, right? It has already been forgotten. So you want to keep talking about it over and over because other people don't know about it. And the last piece could be that the transformation is unclear. If people don't know exactly what they're going to get out of it or why they need it, then they more than likely are not going to buy it, because confused buyers do not buy. So if you have a product and it's not selling, it could be that the transformation is unclear. And then the last piece of why digital offers sometimes don't sell is it comes down to identity and embodiment. So your digital offer is always going to only be as good as you energetically believe in yourself to teach it. This is why I said a few slides ago, if you have an experience that you don't necessarily feel comfortable talking about, leave it out for now, because you want to be able to embody that you are the person to answer these questions. You are the person to teach this. Okay. So what we have done today is you have learned how to clarify your skills and experience. You've learned how to outline yourself a method so that you can communicate that to your clients and your audience. You have the outline to map a digital offer. You know the offer types, you can map a digital offer, and you know how to determine if it is a viable offer. With that being said, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like, this is amazing, I'm ready to go and create, 1 being like, I am so confused, I don't know what offer to teach, 5 being like, I think I've got it down, I could use some fine tuning. Let me know in the comments where you stand. And I'm going to take a drink of water. Okay. So like I said, I think on the third slide is at the end of this, I would have a gift for you, for those of you who are ready to really hit the ground running and take this to the next level. So there's going to be 2 options here to work with me. The first is going to be a DIY approach. So this is for the people who are sitting here and they're like, I've got enough and I really just want to do it myself. I want to, I trust myself to go through the process alone. I'll have a DIY offer for you. And then for those of you who are like, I've got a lot, but I really want to see this through. I want to take over the world with this. I want to, build a whole digital hierarchy. I have a hands-on guidance offer for you too. Okay. So first things first is going to be digitalize your expertise. Whoops. And this is a self-taught course that is going to help you take your story, skills, or lived experience and turn it into a fully built and packaged digital offer. So you're going to know how to monetize it, how to sell it. I teach you how to sell it utilizing, so far right now, it's in there is TikTok and Pinterest, as well as the story-led sales method, which will work on any platform. I am currently in the process of adding more platforms to it. But what you'll get is how to identify your digital expertise, so your sellable offer, how to choose your best fit product, how to build and design your offer in Canva. So I walk you through screen share type of video, and then how to host and deliver it inside of Stan Store. And then, like I said, how to use story selling as your sales strategy so that you're not out here just chasing people down. Okay. So this one is the full DIY approach to go from idea to offer visibility. And so for those of you who are interested in that, let me pop the link into the chat. If you're on Substack, the link does not pop up in the comments, I don't think. So if you're on Substack, you can either go to the resources page on my Substack or send me a DM. Just send me a DM with the word DIY or digitalize, and I will get you the link, okay? But it is right there in my Stan Store. But for those of you on YouTube, this link is in the comments. This is digitalize your expertise. Now, for those of you who are like, I really want to go like step by step guidance, right? I have my signature program for you. This one is a 6-month coaching program. Okay. So it's called the Empress Authority. Inside of the 6 months, we go through 4 phases. The first phase is going to be the inner authority. Now, I want to be clear inside of this phase, we are not just doing mindset fluff and, like meditating, kumbayaing, all of that. We're not only doing that. Okay. Inside of the inner authority, you will have a product ready to go within the first 30 days so that you can start selling, because there is no reason to waste any more time. So that is, if you do the work with me within the first 30 days, you'll have your product ready to go and ready to sell. Okay. Phase 2, now that we have your product ready to go, is going to be the messaging authority and positioning. So we're going to figure out what resonates with your audience. What are people searching for? Where do you fit? Where do you fill the gap, right? What is your authority? What is your positioning to bridge the gap from where people are now to being able to see your offer as the logical next step that they need to take to get to where they want to go? Okay. Excuse me. Phase 3 is all about expansion. So this is when we're getting into systems and digital hierarchy. So now that we know your messaging, we understand your authority and positioning, now we want to expand it. We want to build an offer suite. So this is where you have your offer, your main like teaching framework, and then you have supporting offers that are going to go with it. Okay. So that people can meet you at different price points and you can relax your nervous system because you have a couple different offers out there for low ticket, mid ticket, and high ticket buyers. And then the last piece is going to be the legacy and evergreen model. This is the last phase in the business. This is setting up all of your back-end funnels, making sure they are good to go, making sure that you have a system that supports you where you can show up, schedule out what needs to be scheduled out, and then go live your life. Okay. You can get offline, you can go live your life, and you can let your content and your funnels do the work on the back end. Okay. Some of the tangible things inside of here. So everybody who joins gets a 30-minute one-on-one onboarding call so we can lay the foundations. I do not like to join programs and be confused on where to start. I don't want my people doing that. So 30 minutes one-on-one to lay the foundations. Like I said, we will create your first offer within 30 days. We have live coaching calls every Thursday. If Thursday is a hard day, there are replays available. Okay. Private community access for ongoing support, implementation, and just sharing wins. Have you ever shared a win with somebody who's not on the same journey as you and they're like, oh, I'm happy for you, but then they don't get it either? Like, I don't like that. So we got a community to be sharing wins. And then lastly is going to be templates and step-by-step curriculum. I don't want you guessing on what to do next. Okay. If you're like, Nikki, I want to host a masterclass, there's going to be masterclass templates for you. If you're like, Nikki, I'm ready to do my email funnels, there's going to be email funnel templates for you. Okay. So we're not second guessing or doing any of that. Okay. So this is 6 months to be guided through my experience to income framework. The investment for this is $6,000, pay in full. I do offer payment plans through Klarna and through Afterpay. So if you wanted to look into that, let me know. I could send that over. Those, I believe, start at around like $140 a month, I think, for a payment plan. So I'm going to put the link for this one in the comments. If you have questions, 1 second. So I'm going to call this one T, all right? And again, if you're on Substack, send me a DM because I can't put it in the comments. I don't think. Okay. If you have questions, you can send me a DM. If you want to talk more about the Empress Authority, you want to talk about, I do have a one-on-one spot open too. So if you want to talk about that, you can. But if you want to talk more about the Empress Authority, or if digitalizer expertise is right for you, or just which way to go, my social media is the same across the board. Okay. At Nikki Lynn Mayo. You can DM me the word Empress. If you want to learn more about that, you can just DM me and say, hey, I have a question, and we can chat. Okay. And the last thing that I will say is you can absolutely do this on your own. Most people don't want to, but you can do this on your own, or you can do this with me. Thank you to everybody who tuned in today. We had a lot of people in and out. I'm very grateful for that. So thank you to those of you who tuned in, and I cannot wait to see what you create. And with that being said, make sure that you are subscribed to me on Substack, because that's where I do my writing. Beyond the Script is coming out tomorrow. And then make sure you follow me on other socials because I'm around. All right. Anyways, thank you again to everybody for joining, and I will see you all for next week's masterclass. And like I said, be sure you subscribe on Substack because I've got some good articles coming out this week. Bye.